it's Laura from How to Get Your Shit Together, and I have done something either wonderful or terrible. Time will tell, but I have gone ringless. I have moved into this Dori, and so far so good. So I'll tell you a little bit of the history of how I came to make this decision. Basically, about a year ago, I was introduced to the bullet journal system, and I will link in the description box below to the video, the kind of introduction to the bullet journaling system. But it is basically a place where you keep everything. So it's one notebook where you keep all of your appointments, your to-dos, just your general ideas and thoughts, things like that. You keep it all in one place. And when I initially saw it, I completely disregarded it as being far too disorganized and chaotic for my brain. So that I didn't really pay much attention to it at the time. It was interesting and intriguing, but I immediately put it aside as something that would not work for me. But obviously, over the past year, my subconscious has been slowly working away on this, because recently I have started thinking about it a lot again. So I watched some YouTube videos on it, on how other people were using the system, and I have to say my curiosity grew. I realized that even though everything is all in one place, that's just kind of the initial place that stuff goes. After that, my kind of categorical and logical and rational brain can sit down and then filter all that information into several different notebooks or several different places, which is what I like to do. I like to keep things separated. So I have several notebooks and several planners for several different things, and that is the way that I like it. I know where everything is, but obviously leaving the house, if I'm going to the shops or if I'm going to work or anything like that, I can't bring all of that with me. So sometimes I miss out on information. I have an idea while I'm out and I don't really want to write it into my Filofax because that's not really the place that it goes. So I'm forgetting a lot of things. So the bullet journal system means that I can just jot it down anytime, anywhere, and then when I have some free time, I can sit down, go through everything I've written down and put it wherever it needs to be. So that really made sense to me then when I started to realize that that is the way it works. It's not just throw everything into one notebook and to hell with the consequences. You put it all in there just to catch everything. And then after that, you start filtering, you start processing, and you do whatever you want with it then thereafter. So that really intrigued me. About the same time, I was starting to become frustrated with my Filofax, the rings in my Filofax. I've found the past few weeks that I have been removing pages from the Filofax just to write in them because the rings keep blocking me. And that obviously is just one step that I would rather not have to do. I shouldn't have to remove a page from my planner just to write on it and then put it back. So I suppose those two things kind of culminated in me deciding that I wanted to try the ringless system, the traveler's notebook idea, and I didn't want to spend a lot of money on it as I have done with Filofaxes and various other ringed planners, because this is such a change for me that initially I wasn't sure if it was going to work. I think now maybe it will, but I'm still obviously not sure, and I know a lot of people are in the same boat I am. They want to try something new, but they don't want to spend a lot of money on it. And that's not just necessarily in the planning community, that is worldwide, that is for everything. You might want to try something, but that initial financial investment makes people hesitant, and that is completely understandable. Obviously with my money falling out. Obviously with a ringed planner, the they are expensive. So if you've tried something like that and you're thinking of going ringless and you think, oh, I've already spent a fortune on Filofaxes or whatever, I don't want to spend more money on this, that it potentially will not work for me, so I'll just stick with my ringed planner. So what I have done basically is I have DIY'd my own Dori. I will say, obviously, the leather cover is not a DIY, although you can make them yourself. And Ray Blake from My Life All in One Place has a great video. He shows you how he makes these, and this is actually a Ray Dori. So I will link to his video in the description box below if you're interested in actually making the leather cover yourself. This one I didn't actually buy it from Ray himself. I bought it from a lady in one of the planning groups who shares the same name as me. She got her name stamped on the front and then realized the system wasn't going to work for her. So she decided to sell it on, and she was selling it at a very reasonable price because her name was stamped on it. But as luck would have it, she just happens to have the same first name I do. So I snapped it up, and that is why I have the leather cover. But the inside, the little booklet inside it, I have DIY'd myself. So if you're interested in this system, I would encourage you to watch the rest of the video to see how I have DIY'd the inserts, and how maybe you could do the same if you're thinking about this system and, as I said, you don't want to make that financial investment, because stuff like this does get expensive. The leather covers can be expensive on their own, but also the inserts, the booklets and things that you buy for them, that can get quite expensive. So I have DIY'd it. I'm going to show you how I have DIY'd mine, in the hopes that it will inspire you to take a chance, if there's something that you're interested in and you want to try it out. I hope that this will give you some inspiration and that you will kind of just dive in, get stuck in and do it yourself. So I'm going to flip the camera around and show you what I've done. So I hope you enjoy. So this is my Dori, and I'm going to show you how I have DIY'd it. And if you look inside, you will see that this is what I have. So this is a little booklet that I have made up myself. As I said, it is very rudimentary, very basic, but it is enough for my needs, enough to tell me whether or not this system is going to work for me. So I'm going to show you what I've done. Basically, I sent my husband out on an errand to get me some graph paper. Graph paper seems to be the one that most people use with their bullet journaling, which is what I am going to be doing in my Dori. So he came back with two options. These were the two options. He wasn't sure what size I wanted. So this is the first option, and this is a 7mm grid, which is fine if you have bigger handwriting than I do, but my handwriting is quite small, so this is just going to be used for my daughter to draw pictures on. This one is an A4 refill pad, and this is a 5mm. So this is going to work out much, much better for me. So what I did basically was I tore out some pages from this and I folded them into thirds. I was going to just fold it in half, but the A5 size is much, much too big for what I want. So I folded it into thirds. And I'm much better at doing this now. I can just eyeball it, and you will be as well once you do it 2 or 3 times. So folded it into thirds, and that is what I was left with. I opened it out just like this, like a double spread, and I basically did a lot of these and just sat them all on top of each other, and then opened up just the cover that I had, and I slotted them in. So the elastic, if you're not sure how a Dori works, you basically just slot a notebook in you find the center point and you slot it in under the elastic. And that is what I did. I just had a whole pile of these. I made them all up and I slotted them in to the elastic just like that. Now I know because it's folded into thirds that it's not going to be kind of a typical booklet style. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use up, you'll see on the left hand side we have all the single pages. And when we come to the middle, it folds out. So I'm just going to write here. Then when I get to this point, I am going to just write here, right here, right here, and then so on and so forth. And again, this is not normally how it would be. It would normally be kind of a typical notebook. You would just have this side and this side. But I have just DIY'd it, so I'm going to see how I get on with it. Again, it's just to see if the system works for me. It doesn't have to be perfect right now, but it just has to be functional and usable for me. So this is definitely what I would recommend. Get yourself some graph paper or plain paper if you prefer, or even a dot grid, and fold it as I have done. The A4 grid page refill was, I think, only €1 or €2, so very, very inexpensive. And chances are you probably have some lying around, especially if you have kids. But even if you have to buy some, it's a very, very inexpensive way to do this. Now, as I said, it's very crude. Obviously, the sides of it aren't going to be perfect. They're not cut very straight just because I've ripped them out of the pad. There are holes in this one, holes punched into it. Again, these are things that don't bother me right now because I'm just testing out the system. I just want to see if this system is something that could work for me. And so far, so good. So normally on a booklet, you would have a kind of a cardboard cover. I didn't really bother with that for now, just because, as I said, I'm just starting out. I just want to see if it's going to work for me. But any sort of cardboard would do just to cover this, a cereal box or some other sort of cardboard, if you've got some card stock. And then you can either paint it or cover it in scrapbook paper or something if you don't want a lovely cereal box looking at you when you open it, if you just want to kind of jazz it up a bit. But that is what you would do. You would make a cover for the notebook. What I would do if you don't have a cover, like a proper Dori, this leather cover, or some people do them in fabric as well. If you don't have this, you could certainly use some thick cardstock just to make your actual cover. This, as I said, I picked up for a very reasonable price, so this has been working for me. But if I didn't have this, I would have gone down the cardstock route and it wouldn't have bothered me at all. I'm just trying the system. If it works, then I can look at kind of fancier options. But for me, this is working really well. If you're going to use some cardstock, you just need 2 elastic bands if you're just going to be using one insert. And what you would do is just put the elastic band around the spine and inside so that you can slot your booklet in, and then just another elastic band so that you can close it. So that is my DIY Dori. I hope it gives some people some inspiration. If you are thinking of using the system but you don't want to splash out any money, if you're like me, this is a great way to do it. Over the years, I have spent a lot of money on different systems, different ringed planners, various different bits of stationery and inserts and things like that. So I really wanted to just do something very cheap and cheerful, because this is a total change to the system that I am used to, which is the ringed system. So I didn't want to invest a lot of money in it if it wasn't going to work for me. So I think this is a really great way just to try something out. I'm going to try it for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. If it works for me, I will look at upgrading some things. So I will look at getting maybe some proper notebooks for in here. I think eventually what I will do is not use a FiloDori. The thing I don't like about the FiloDori is this elastic. It's fine for now, totally fine, but I would find this rather annoying after a fashion. So I think what I'm going to do, and I have seen some other people do it, Kent from Oz does it, and or he did it, and I will link to his video in the description box below. But he took a Filofax Malden, which is what I use as my wallet and on-the-go planner. He took the rings out of his and put some notebooks in. So he uses his Filofax as a Dori. And I have to say, I love my Filofax Malden. It is the perfect, maybe not the perfect layout for me, but it is great layout for me. I really love the leather in it, and I really love the snap closure on it. So I think if this system is really working for me, that's what I will do. I will look into removing the rings from a Malden and using that. But that is way, way down the road. First of all, I'm going to try this for a few weeks. If this is working, I'm going to upgrade it a little bit, buy a proper notebook, or maybe kind of tweak the size, maybe see if a smaller size would suit. So I'm just going to kind of see how I go over the next few weeks, make some tweaks and changes, maybe invest a little bit more if it is working out for me. And if after I've been using it for quite a number of weeks and it's still working and I still really love it, then I will investigate the terrifying thought of removing rings from a Filofax. But that is way down the road. That is only when I am certain that this is the system that is working for me. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. I hope this inspires some people to kind of get creative and start to DIY things. Don't immediately pump a load of money unless you have it. If you have it, great, pump away. But if you're trying to save the pennies, then look at like creative ways you can make a system work for you. And this is what I have done. I will be in a few weeks updating you with how I'm getting on with it, how I'm getting on with number one, the kind of the Dori setup, and number two, the actual bullet journaling aspect of it. So please subscribe if you would like to see those updates. I will continue to update you every few weeks as I go along to see how the system is working. So please subscribe if you would like to see those updates. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments or feedback, or if you are using a Dori, please let me know how you're getting on with it. Use the comments below. I would love to hear from you. And give the video a thumbs up or leave me a comment if you would like to see more DIY videos. This is my first and I would love to do more, but obviously only if you want to see them. So if you do, give the video a thumbs up or subscribe and or leave me a comment. Okay guys, thank you. Bye.